Have you ever wondered why the bad guy always gets the good girl? Well, let me tell you a story. It's actually my story. When I was in high school, my now wife, Kelly, she was the good girl, and I was not the good guy. I was the bad guy. Like, I was the guy who would always like mess with her heart. I was always um, on and off with her. Like, we would date, we would break up, we would date, we would break up. When I was broken up with her, I would talk to other girls and I knew it would bother her. I was playing games with her and I was actually like really unhealthy and I needed God. But what I realized is the less I cared, the more attractive Kelly actually was to me. And you can actually ask her if you know her, you can send her a DM and just say, hey, like, what's your side of this? But one thing that like me and Kelly have often talked about is I'll ask her like, hey, remember that guy you would like date in high school, or like that guy that took you out when we weren't together? Like, whatever happened with him? And she's like, oh, I wasn't really attracted to him. Like, why? Why? What was it? And her response every single time was, I was just so much more confident. Like, I was just a confident guy. I knew who I was. I was secure in who I was. I might have been like a jerk or like a tool, but I was really confident in what I wanted and where I was going. And you see, this is one of the main reasons why when I'm coaching a guy who is trying to work on his marriage, or I'm just coaching a guy who is trying to like get the dream girl, I always tell him this. I say, hey, you got to understand this. I'll ask him, why does the bad guy always get the good girl? Like, go back to high school with me. Why did he always get the good girl? And the response is always like, well, just didn't care. And that's exactly it. Now, when you're older and you follow God and you care about somebody's heart, like, of course you care, but you don't want to come off needy. You don't want to be like pushy. You don't want to be like the guy who annoys and bugs, and the guy who's weak, and the guy who gets on his hands and knees and is sending like 100 text messages when you get in a fight, like, oh my gosh, please forgive me. Like, that is so unattractive to a girl who knows who she is. Like, a high caliber woman like Kelly in my life, she was so beyond that. And so I didn't even know what I was doing at the time, but now I look back and we have conversations now and kind of laugh at it. And she's just like, there were some pretty legit guys she would date. And if you're watching this, like, you were legit. But Kelly just did not think that they were confident. And so I want you to think about this idea. Now, remember this, and you might disagree with it. That's okay. It doesn't mean it's right. It just means it's true. The person in the relationship who cares less has the most power. Let me say that again. The person in the relationship who does not care as much has the most power in the relationship. Why? They usually hold the power. That doesn't mean it's right or doesn't mean it's healthy. They usually call the terms. They say, well, we're going to break up and I'm going to go on a break with you, or I need some space from you. And it's so then there's the other person who's like the lesser, the one who cares way more, the one who's willing to buy all the flowers, the one who's like over texting, super emotional. That person does not have control, or a better way of saying it, that person doesn't have power in the relationship. Now, you might disagree with me. That is okay. But I have seen over and over and over again that a woman is attracted to a guy who's confident. A woman is attracted to a guy who is decisive. So the bad guy gets the good girl. Now, let's go into now a healthy version, okay? Now, I'm not saying you don't want to be the bad guy. You don't want to be a jerk. You don't want to be unhealthy. You don't want to be disrespectful. You don't want to be dishonoring to her. But you don't want to come off as like needy. Like, man, please listen to me. If you are needy, that is not attractive. And then if you end up like dating this person and getting really serious, what that means is you're codependent, and she actually enjoys that you're codependent. But I always say this, opposites attract. Yes, that's true. But when you're unhealthy, opposites attack. So if you're needy and she likes the neediness because she's insecure, eventually that neediness is actually going to be the thing that makes her break up with you. I've talked to a guy actually not too long ago, one of my clients who is, he's working on his marriage, and he told me, he's like, man, I got broken up with a lot when I was in high school. I'm like, interesting. So like, what's going on right now with you and your relationship and your marriage? And he's like, well, I'm afraid that that's going to happen again. And I'm like, well, hey man, you got to understand there is a reason you were broken up multiple times with. Like, we got to get to the core of that, to the source of that. And you know what I discovered really quickly within like the first text exchange? Because I say, hey, send me your text messages. I want to see how you're talking to her. I want to see what you're saying. I got to get inside of your mind. Immediately I caught it. Needy, pushy, over emotional. I love you. Do you love me? I'm so sorry. Will you forgive me? Now, are these things that you probably should be saying? Absolutely. But when it's just super like annoying, it's not attractive. So I am saying don't be codependent. I am saying don't be needing. I am saying don't beg, don't plead. Don't come off weak and uncertain. You see, if you're dating a high caliber woman, you will push her so far away when you do these things. So why does the bad guy get the girl? Because he doesn't come off like he cares. Like, I know you might be like really annoyed. If you're a woman, I'm so sorry if this bothers you, but like the guy who just doesn't care as much, he knows who he is. He's like, hey, I'm sorry, I don't have time to hang out with you every single day, 24/7. Hey, I have friends that I need to see and I need to spend time with. I am not dependent on you to be happy. Like, you actually want to be with a guy like that who knows his worth, who knows who he is, who knows where he's going. And you don't complete him. Can I say this again? You do not complete your guy. Hey, brother, you do not complete your girl. God completes you. And if you can't say that with true confidence, you are codependent. So become the type of guy, become the type of girl who cares more about God than about the person. Become the type of guy who doesn't get on his hands and feet and beg and plead. I promise you, you actually, when you know who you are and you get healthy and you are secure in who you are, you're going to attract the women that are healthy. So that's my like sauce for you today. I hope this really helps, and I'll see you in the next video.